Hi again, it's Miss McGuinness. We are now on Chapter 8 of Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. Chapter 8 is called The Foxes Begin to Starve. Oh dear! Let's hope Fantastic Mr. Fox has got a fantastic plan to get the foxes out of this mess. Have a think now, before we read the chapter, how you think he's going to get his family to safety. Hope it's a good plan. We will look over the Viper's questions and then I will read you the next chapter. Don't forget you can pause the video if you want to, and then we'll check the answers at the end. Okay, enjoy! So, Year 3, Chapter 8, The Foxes Begin to Starve. Let's see what happens with the plan that Boggis, Bunce and Bean have put into place. That evening, 3 tents were put up in the crater on the hill. 1 for Boggis, 1 for Bunce and 1 for Bean. The tents surrounded Mr. Fox's hole, and the 3 farmers sat outside their tents eating their supper. Boggis had 3 boiled chickens smothered in dumplings. Bunce had 6 doughnuts filled with disgusting goose liver paste, and Bean had 2 gallons of cider. All 3 of them kept their guns beside them. Boggis picked up a steaming chicken and held it close to the fox's hole. "Can you smell this, Mr. Fox?" he shouted. "Lovely tender chicken, why don't you come up and get it?" The rich scent of chicken wafted down the tunnel to where the foxes were crouching. I'm just going to pause there because our first Viper question is a vocabulary question. And it says, what does wafted mean? Okay, so you need to think about that word and write down your answer. "Oh, Dad," said one of the small foxes, "couldn't we just sneak up and snatch it out of his hand?" "Don't you dare," said Mrs. Fox. "That's just what they want you to do." "But we're so hungry," they cried. "How long will it be until we get something to eat?" Their mother didn't answer them, nor did their father. There was no answer to give. Oh dear, it's looking quite desperate. Let's see what happens next. As darkness fell, Boggis and Bean switched on the powerful headlamps of the 2 tractors and shone them on the hole. "Now," said Bean, "we'll take it in turns to keep watch. 1 watches while 2 sleep, and so on all through the night." Boggis said, "What if the fox digs a hole right through the hill and comes out on the other side?" "You didn't think of that one, did you?" "Of course I did," said Bean, pretending he had. "Go on then, tell us the answer," said Boggis. Bean picked something small and black out of his ear and flicked it away. "How many men have you got working on your farm?" he asked. 35, Boggis said. "I've got 36, Bunce said. "And I've got 37, Bean said. "That makes 108 men altogether. We must order them to surround the hill. Each man will have a gun and a flashlight. There will be no escape then for Mr. Fox." Okay, I'm just going to pause there because our retrieval question today is how many men are ordered to surround the hill. So let's see if you can find the answer from that passage and write it down. So the order went down to the farms, and that night 108 men formed a tight ring around the bottom of the hill. They were armed with sticks and guns and hatchets and pistols and all sorts of other horrible weapons. This made it quite impossible for a fox, or indeed any other animal, to escape from the hill. The next day, the watching and waiting went on. Boggis and Bunce and Bean sat upon small stools staring at the fox's hole. They didn't talk much. They just sat there with their guns on their laps. Every so often Mr. Fox would creep a little closer towards the mouth of the tunnel and take a sniff. Then he would creep back again and say, "They're still there." "Are you sure?" Mrs. Fox would ask. "Positive," said Mr. Fox. "I can smell that man Bean a mile away. He stinks." Okay, let me just show you the title of the next one. Mr. Fox has a plan. Okay, so our last question is explain how Roald Dahl makes it seem like the foxes have no hope in these chapters. So in that last passage that we've just read, it tells us about the men that are being used in this plan and what they're doing and how they're surrounding Mr. Fox. So you might use some of the information you can see in that passage to explain how Roald Dahl, the author, has made it seem like the foxes have no hope of getting out. Okay, so we're going to stop there now. I hope you've enjoyed that chapter. Mr. Fox has a plan in the next chapter, so we'll find out what he does. Bye. See you soon. So now we have the answers to the Viper's questions for Chapter 8 of Fantastic Mr. Fox. The first question was a vocabulary question. What does the word wafted mean? So have a think. Have a think about when you've heard that word before. You can go back and have a look at the text if you just rewind the video clip, and then you can compare your answer with mine. So mine says, wafted means the smell or scent is passing through the air. So in this case, the farmers helped to pass the smell of the cooked chicken down the hole to the fox's den, knowing that it might entice the foxes up. Very sneaky of them. The next question is a retrieval question, and it was how many men are ordered to surround the hill. Okay, so have a look back at the text if you're not sure, and then we'll compare answers. So my answer says 108 men. Okay, and the last question is an explain question. So that comes from your knowledge of the book and your feeling so far about how the author has written the book and why he's chosen to use certain words or phrases. And the question says, explain how Roald Dahl makes it seem like the foxes have no hope in these chapters. So if you need to go back and have a look, you can do that now. Or have a think about how Roald Dahl has added in words or phrases that make it seem that the foxes have no hope of escaping. Let's have a look at the answer. Roald Dahl tells the reader, which is you, all the plans and the help that the foxes can use. But he doesn't tell us about Mr. Fox's plans just yet. So we've heard all about the machinery and the amount of support from the other people. We've heard all about all the different ways that the farmers have of trying to get him out. So it makes us feel that they have lots of plans up their sleeve, and maybe one of them might work. Hopefully in the next chapter, in chapter 9, we'll find out a little bit more about Mr. Fox's plans, and we'll be a little bit more hopeful for him to be able to get out of this mess. Okay, so have a look at your answers and compare them with mine, and then we will look at chapter 9 together next. Bye, hope you're enjoying it.